Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Please rise in body and spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Let It Be a Dance We Do. Please remain standing as we recite our covenant. I'd like to invite Marcy Kaiser to come up and light our chalice this morning. Marcy is one of our RE teachers in the kindergarten class. Thank you, Marcy. We covenant to embrace one another in community. I welcome all with an open heart and a generous spirit. We seek to understand others with grace and patience, speak our truths bravely and respectfully, and create space for all to be heard and acknowledged and valued. Now let's take a few minutes to greet your neighbor. Good morning. My name is Joe Miller. It's my privilege today to be leading worship with my fellow congregant, Lisa Jacobs, and Chrissy Bushyager, our Director of Religious Education. I want to welcome you all here to the sanctuary and also those that are online. Please join us for coffee hour in Fellowship Hall after the service. If you're joining us online, stay connected after the service for the virtual coffee hour. And if you're online, please open your chat window. So I have a few announcements. If you're interested in learning more about membership at UUCDC, there's somebody will be out there in the youth room after the service to chat with you. The labyrinth of the Heart Walk, which was planned for after coffee hour, is going to be postponed because of the inclement weather, but it has been rescheduled to next week, right? Thank you, Melissa. And then actually out there in Fellowship Hall, you'll find a bunch of folks with a bunch of quilts and ties and all of that kind of stuff, and they can use your help because this is the way we show our love and support for young adults as they start their next journey. We provide them with quilts, and I'm told that if you can tie your shoes, which I think most of you can tie a quilt. So please join Chris Hagendorf and others out there as they work on those quilts during coffee hour. And now we will settle into worship.
So we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to do a moving meditation. There is both a movement and a visualization and a speaking part of this. So Joe and I are going to demonstrate the moving part. I'm going to explain the imagining part, and then we're all going to do it together saying the words. So we're going to kindle the chalice within. We have a spirit inside of us that is our inner light. We're going to rekindle that today. So I invite you to reach up to the sun and draw the light and warmth and energy of the sun down. By the energy of the sun above, step over to the side. We're going to swing our arms down. And it might, for those who want to stand up, this can be easier if you stand up, but be careful not to hit your neighbors. So lift the energy and strength of the earth up and imagine it coming up into your middle. Carefully, so as not to hit your neighbors, extend your right hand and feel the warmth of the fire of commitment. By the fire of commitment in my right hand, carefully extend your left hand. Feel the coolness of the water of compassion. By the water of compassion in my left hand, I kindle my chalice within. Draw all that energy into your core, relight your inner spirit, and send its light out into the world. And then we make a nice flaming chalice with our bodies, so isn't that nice? Okay, so does everybody feel good? All right, let's try this. By the energy of the sun above, by the strength of the earth below, by the fire of commitment on my right hand, by the water of compassion on my left hand, I kindle my chalice within and send its light out into the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Every week we bring not just our physical presence to this sanctuary, but also those events or concerns that we carry in our heart. Maybe it's a joy, like making a new friend, making a good pass at soccer, or just enjoying a beautiful day. Or perhaps it's a sorrow, like worrying about a family member who is ill or a relationship we're struggling with. This is a time in our service where we invite you to acknowledge a joy or sorrow you are carrying in your heart today by dropping a stone in the bowl of water. Please come forward now as you are so moved. And if you're joining us online, please feel free to type your joy or sorrow in the chat window. And I drop 2 stones, one for those joys and sorrows that go unacknowledged but are in our hearts, and one for those folks who are online. Please remain seated as we now sing Spirit of Life. Now is the time in our service where we gratefully receive your offering, either through using our text-to-give capability, or you can leave an offering back in the wooden boxes next to the door in the back. And speaking about an offering, how about those fund drive results? $417,000. $417,000 to support our operations over the next fiscal year. We are so grateful for your generous support, and I want to thank the work of our fund drive team and all of those folks who hosted parties out there. We had a great time doing that, and it was very, very successful, so thank you so much.
I think it's time for you to know. Don't think there's any good reason to put on some show. What started spring will find its way back to the snow. Give it a day, 'cause everything's turning to dust. So give it away if it is burning you up. Give it a chance, you only get so many horizons before your last winter blows in someone else's spring. I'm thinking clearer already. My eyes ahead, my stride is confident, my hands are steady. Those seeds we planted in the cold outside are ready. Give it away, 'cause everything's turning to dust. So give it away if it is burning you up. Give it a chance, you only get so many horizons before your last winter. Well, who says when it's time to move on? And if it's safe to take the memories along, could we hum a different melody to try and drown the symphony of what once was? give it a day, 'cause everything's turning to dust. So give it away if it is burning you up. Give it a chance, you only get so many horizons before your last winter. Well, give it a day, 'cause everything's turning to dust. So give it away if it is burning you up. Give it a chance, you only get so many horizons before your last winter. Before your last winter blows in someone else's spring. I sort of picked this, check, testing, 1, 2. Maybe it's, there we go. So I sort of picked this song because of sort of the bridge section or whatever you want to call it. This is Teach Me Love. I know I'm not a hopeless case. I hope that's true for you as well. And please, feel free to sing along. The heart is in bloom, shoots up from the stony ground, and there's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck. The reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck, and you're not moving anywhere. You thought you'd found a friend, take you out of this place, someone you could lend a hand in return for grace. It's a beautiful day. Sky falls, you feel like it's a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. You're on the road, but you got no destination. In the mud, in the maze of your imagination, you love this town. Even if that doesn't ring true, you've been all over, and it's been all over you. It's a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. Oh, touch me and take me to that other place. Teach me love. I know I'm not a hopeless case. See the world in green and blue. See China right in front of you. See the canyons broken by cloud. See the tuna fleets clearing the sea out. See the bedwind fires at night. See the oil fields at first light. And see the bird with a leaf in her mouth. After the flood, all the colors came out. Day, don't let it get away. It's a beautiful day. Oh, touch me, take me to that other place, and teach me love. I know I'm not a hopeless case. Now what you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know, you can't feel it somehow. What you don't have, you don't need it now. Don't need it now. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. Ooh, a beautiful day.
And in spite of the drizzle, it is a beautiful day. Let me thank you, Jeff, and let me wish you a bountiful, flower-scented May Day, a genuinely Scottish, bright and blessed Beltane. Beltane is the Celtic fire festival that sort of celebrates the transition from winter to summer, and my family celebrates it every year along with the other 7 pagan Wheel of the Year celebrations. So we had our bonfire on Tuesday. So who's ready for summer? Time to get out of the house, see some friends, have a barbecue, go on a short trip. And maybe that feels a little early. We still have a bit more of the school year to finish out. In the US, our cultural summer typically starts on Memorial Day in about 3 weeks. But here at UU-CDC and in most other UU congregations, we finish up our RE year and we shift to our summer schedule of one multi-generational service each Sunday, round about this time, round about Beltane. So today we thanked our RE teachers for sharing their time and talents with our children. Each year, the RE curriculum tends the seeds of our UU values of love, justice, equity, transcendence, plurality, interdependence, and generosity. And now as our kids move out into the summer, they take those values with them to their summer camps and their band practices and their sports practice. And that's great, but why does the schedule for the church change? I grew up UU, and I never really understood it. For folks who come to us from elsewhere, it's even more opaque, right? Most religious traditions keep their schedules pretty similar through the summer. Maybe the minister takes a short vacation, Sunday school winds down, but vacation Bible school scales up, and everything else pretty much stays the same. So I'd like to propose 2 reasons that UUs do it differently and that this really feeds into our unique religious tradition. Once upon a time, most Unitarian churches existed in and around Boston. American Unitarianism developed from the Congregationalist movement of independent, self-governed Protestant churches in the 17th and 18th century colonies. You know the Puritans? Yeah, those guys. So the Puritans wanted educated ministers, theologians that had truly studied the Bible, and so, and I quote, dreading to leave an illiterate ministry to the church. They founded Harvard University in 1636. The trouble with universities, though, is that people actually do then read the Bible. And by the early 1800s, Enlightenment ideals of reason, free will, and healthy skepticism of Calvinist predestination had spread through New England congregations and the ivy-covered walls of Harvard. In 1805, the college appointed Unitarian theologian Henry Ware as the influential Hollis Professor of Divinity, causing a huge fight with more conservative Calvinists. When the dust had settled, Harvard had a strong Unitarian flavor, and that expanded with the founding of Harvard Divinity School in 1811, the first non-denominational divinity school in the country. Which is interesting, but really who cares? This is supposed to be a service about summer. And you're getting a boring history lesson. So here's the thing. Because many of the Unitarian ministers at the time were also Harvard faculty, they ran their churches on the Harvard academic calendar. Classes and Sunday service started in September. It went through graduation in May. And then there was the summer that was off, which is great work if you can get it, right? You go to the Berkshires, watch the grass grow, chill out. Except that's not actually how it worked. This is what makes our summer schedule uniquely Unitarian, and now Unitarian Universalist. Because these were professors. They didn't go to the Berkshires and watch the grass grow. They did pulpit swaps. They went all around Boston and the greater Unitarian church communities, and they preached in each other's pulpits. Now that got interesting theological ideas out to the general congregation, but it also meant they got to talk to the other congregations and get new ideas. So by the time September started up, there had been this great sharing of ideas, and everybody was ready to come back and talk to their own congregation for 9 months. So Unitarians, and now UUs, have kept this tradition for over 200 years. Today it provides us a unique opportunity to live out our Unitarian Universalist value of plurality. If you've been at UU CDC in previous summers, you've seen that we have a variety of people lead Sunday worship. Some are guest ministers from other congregations. Some, like our speaker last week, Reverend Joan Sabatino from UU Justice PA, are leaders of social justice organizations that serve our congregation or our community. Some are congregation members like me. In 2 weeks, for instance, the coming of age youth will be presenting about their personal spiritual journeys. This, for me, is a highlight of every church year because I'm inspired by the wisdom and perspective of our youth. They offer new insights and viewpoints, and they are the leaders of our future, so they give us a glimpse of what could be. Whatever Calvinist dogma the old Unitarians threw out, Unitarian Universalism still holds on to the idea that we are a priesthood of all believers. We need no special person ordained by God to speak from our pulpit. Instead, we are most enriched by hearing from each other. But you might say, and I am living proof, that we have guest speakers throughout our church year. Occasionally we have multi-generational sermons when our youth and our old worship together. So why do we change the rhythm in the summer? I believe that changing our summer schedule has even more ancient roots, ones that we tend to forget in the 21st century. Traditionally, most schools, whether the local elementary or Harvard Divinity School, ran fall through spring. Until very recently, families on farms needed all hands to work the fields in the summer. We have spring break because it was planting season. We have fall break and Thanksgiving because it was harvest. In the Gaelic-speaking lands of Scotland and Ireland and Wales, Beltane is celebrated on or around May 1st, and it marks the beginning of summer. At last, the grass grew green, in the high pastures, and the herds could go up into the mountains for summer grazing. True, the warmest days of summer came after the summer solstice in late June, just as it does here in Pennsylvania, but the rhythm of life was changing as the good weather allowed everyone to go out of doors. On Beltane, every family extinguished the home fire that they had kept burning all through the winter, and they scrubbed the old cinders out of their hearths. That night, young and old gathered for a great celebration. The community built 2 huge bonfires with a space between them, and the cattle and the sheep ran between the bonfires to be blessed with health and fertility by the smoke. When the fires burned down, courting couples jumped over the embers to bless their unions as well. As the evening drew to the close, each family took a burning coal home and carried it carefully to their hearth and placed it there and relit their family fire from the central bonfire of the community. As the community blessed animals and courting couples, they blessed each house, each family in the community from their shared sacred fire. So my family celebrates Beltane every year with our fire pit. We welcome the migrating birds who return to our yard from far away. As the school year winds down, we look forward to our summer plans. Most years, I get terrible spring fever in March and April. I am antsy, and I am grumpy, and I want to go somewhere. So for me, Beltane is the moment when things finally get going. Anthropologists say our bodies have changed very little in the last 300,000 years. We may light our nights with electricity and send text messages at the speed of thought, but the brains that do the thinking are the same as those that lived when we lived by the light of the sun and carried messages at the speed of our feet. Our bodies naturally slow down into contemplation in the dark of the winter and bound forward into action in the light of the summer. Longer May days, whether it's at Beltane or Memorial Day, mark the seasonal boundary between sitting and thinking and going outside and doing. With our single Sunday service and our children off from RE, we at UUCDC have the freedom to act our UU values with the energy of the summer sun. On June 1st, for instance, our members will march with our friends from Mainline UU in the Media Pride Parade. Join us as we answer and we celebrate the call to love with our LGBTQ siblings. On June 8th, you can stop by the Delco Renewable Energy and Environment Expo just over here in Rose Tree Park, where you can get ideas for how to live more sustainably and in harmony with the nature around us. UUCDC's Climate Action Team will be meeting later in the month, and I will leave it to Lisa Rosenberg. She'll be speaking in a few weeks to share more about that. She's the head of our Climate Action Team. 2 pages. All summer long, we can come together to write letters with our social justice committee's Vote Forward campaign. Think about it, in an epidemic time of loneliness, think how wonderful it feels to get a handwritten letter in your mailbox. Working together with our beloved community of UUCDC, we can draw our fellow Pennsylvanians back into the beloved community of our shared democracy. And if you're looking for a summer field trip, join our members for a Citizens Advocacy Day in Harrisburg. We'll be talking to legislators about issues such as gun violence, environmental justice, and reproductive rights, bringing our UU values directly into the halls of government. And let's not forget, summer is about rest, relaxation. There is value to going on vacation, taking it slow, getting outside, reconnecting with the natural world. Time spent in nature, in art, with loved ones restores our spirits and reveals the sometimes hidden truth of our deep interdependence and interconnectedness. Simply being among our neighbors restores the bond of community that can feel so frayed. Love and compassion comes in quiet moments, giving us both the strength and the perspective to care for ourselves, our beloveds, and our wider hurting world. I have to admit that the hurting world weighs on my mind these days. I've rewritten this talk several times, trying to get the balance of both the light and active energy of Beltane and the summer with the darkness and grief and worry over the past 6 months of winter. Friends and family lost or gravely ill, political, social turmoil, protests on college campuses, war and civil unrest around the world that seems to have no hope of resolution. Even a brilliant, blooming spring that came 3 weeks too soon and left me thinking only, climate change. I wanted to preach a sermon about hope of summer, but there was a cold ball of winter in my heart. Sometimes writing and talking helps us process our feelings, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all today. It helped me. I began my story with history, both of our Unitarian forebearers who traded pulpits to gain new perspectives, and with our Celtic ancestors who lit bonfires to bless their individual hearts from a common flame. It reminds me that we humans have been through times of change, of loss, of war. We relight our hearths from our common Beltane flame, not always because we are filled with the joy and energy of summer, but because together in beloved community, we can find the strength to go forward into the summer anyway. May we have a bright and rejuvenating summer. Blessed be. And now, I saw some of you looking with great puzzlement at the candles that were handed out during Jeff's song. So let me give you a little background. We're going to do our final hymn, number 66, when the summer sun is shining. And then we are going to do a variation of our Beltane ritual and relight our personal chalices from our shared sacred chalice. So we'll sing, then Joe and I will light tapers and we'll bring them out to you guys. If you would pass the flame to each other. Remember, we do this at Christmas Eve, if you've been here. When you pass your flame, you who are getting the flame, hold your candle up with the paper part down low. They are flammable. Do not light yourself on fire. Your friend with the flame comes over at right angles and touches your wick, and then you come apart, okay? Do I have this right, Joe? Is this one? Awesome. Okay, but Leah reminds me, please, please do not light yourselves on fire. That would be too much sacred fire. All right, please join us in When Summer Sun is Shining.
And
please join me for the benediction, which should come up in just a minute. We have a slightly, there we are. We go out from this place, but not from this community, sustained by the energy of the sun and the strength of the earth. Our inner fires of commitment burn brightly as we pour love and compassion out to heal a troubled world. Go in peace, return in peace, live in peace until we meet again. Blessed be.